To the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Of course, we're reviewing All Elite Wrestling's Revolution pay-per-view, the 2023 edition, coming from up in San Francisco area, the Bay Area. Bryan Danielson's general home, well, around his area. Not really, but yeah, we're going to have a big show tonight from All Elite Wrestling featuring an Iron Man match between MJF and the aforementioned Bryan Danielson, but there was a lot more on the card, so let's get into it now. First up, we got to talk about the opening match. We got Ricky Starks against Chris Jericho. Great opener in this one. Started out slow, but this was a slow build match. It felt like a very old school match, kind of late 90s, 2000s style kind of match. Ricky Starks, impressive here. He did miss a couple. Looks like he missed one spot here or there, but this match was perfectly executed otherwise. Ricky actually blocked the Judas effect at one point in time in the match, but it was the Rochambeau after Sammy Guevara tried to come and interfere, and Action Andretti just blitzed him out of nowhere from off screen, and that caused a distraction. Jericho tried to use Floyd, but no, it wasn't going to work there. And Ricky Starks gets the biggest win of his professional career. He is on his way. Much bigger things are coming in the future for Ricky Starks across the board. The guy, a lot of people have been watching him since he was in the NWA and before that. I've said this guy is a big star, and he looks like, yes, indeed, he's on his way. We then had the again, essentially a buried alive match between Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Christian Cage, blowing off this feud. It's been going on for quite some time, actually. It's been going on a long time, but this is the big end to this whole thing after injuries and issues here and there, and Luchasaurus turning heel and turning face and turning heel again, and whatever happened there with him. It does come down to Perry and Christian Cage. Of course, Jungle Boy's family's at ringside. Christian has to go taunt them during the match because that's what any good heel would do. This match, it felt at times, especially near the end, these matches can be kind of goofy and corny. I do think back to some of the ones The Undertaker had in the past, and sometimes they're kind of rough and tumble, and sometimes they can be kind of corny. This one was more on the rough and tumble side. There was a point where they were up in the dirt around the gravesite, and they had this open casket that they were going to throw the other guy in. And I got that buried alive match vibe from early, mid-90s WWF Mankind and The Undertaker. But I also got some Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, I Quit match vibes, especially when these guys were trying to choke each other with the shovel. And it looked, they made it look good. It looked good. It looked like it didn't look like they were pretending to try to kill each other. It looked like they actually really wanted to kill each other. There was some little communication you saw between them if you were watching closely early on in the match, but Jungle Boy does finally get the win, hits a concerto, has a crisis of conscience because he is a white meat babyface, and that's a pretty dark thing to do, but he does finally put Christian in the casket, talks to him for a little bit, then closes the casket, which kind of, now thinking about it, kind of a weird thing for him to do, given what happened to his father. So I wonder if there were some flashbacks there for Jack Perry, but he wins the match. And the cool thing they did at the end of this is that he closed the casket. Instead of having him watch him try to struggle to shovel dirt on it, the casket closed and then just drops into the hole, which that was a pretty cool ending to that match. Then the one I was looking forward to the most, the Trios Championship. Oh my God, the Elite versus the House of Black. I finally, wrestling fans like myself who've been watching New Japan back in, 5, 6, 7 years ago when we saw Buddy Matthews coming up in NXT and in WWE, and we saw what he did on the Indies. A lot of people have been waiting to see these two guys square off in the ring. We got it first thing out of the shoot here. Then we get another dream encounter with Malachi Black. He's now squaring off against Omega in the ring. This is awesome. Chants are ringing out everywhere. And the exchanges in the beginning of the match were great. And this thing just did not let up for, 15 minutes or whatever, however long the match was. These guys went balls to the wall. Just some amazing chemistry with these two teams. JR called it out early in the broadcast. He's like, he felt that these teams had chemistry, and he was absolutely right. I would love to see it. I don't know if they would survive, but I would love to see another match between the Elite and the House of Black. Some really crazy spots here, some new innovative stuff. Anytime somebody discredits the Bucks and Omega, I whatever, And the House of Black, their entrance, man, it just gets more metal every time I see it. They are just great. A little bit of possible drama at the end of the match, though. After the Elite do wind up losing the match, it looks like Omega's upset at ringside. Don Callis, who was on commentary, storms off of commentary. He goes down and he's kind of condescendingly patting Kenny Omega on the shoulder. So I'm not sure what that's hinting to. We also saw Callis going after Takeshita a couple days ago on AEW television. So Don Callis might be up to something here. I'm not sure what it is. This can't be good, but I do think it's probably time for whatever Omega is going to be doing in the future for him and Don to kind of split ways. It's kind of hard to cheer for him as a face. He's got this, to quote Christian Cage, carny piece up hanging around him. So we'll see what happens here. Saraya and, of course, Ruby Soho challenging the current AEW Women's Champion, Jamie Hayter, for the Women's Championship in a three-way match. This whole storyline has been that Ruby's been kind of in the middle of girls like Hayter and Britt Baker, who are AEW originals, and women who came from WWE, like Toni Storm, Saraya, and herself. And this match, they kind of play with it a little bit here and there. It was a quick match. It was a good, solid women's match for what it was. A couple of really good spots in here. Ruby's new look was interesting. And in the end, it was Jamie Hayter that did get the pinfall and retained her championship. But after the match, during the beatdown, Ruby looked pretty dejected and kind of made her decision to join up with Saraya and with Toni Storm. They are now the outsiders. They're even using spray paint. We'll talk about that later. They're using spray paint to spray paint L's. So I guess this is the thing, that they're going to do a mini NWO thing with the women's division in AEW. So that's, I guess, where we're going with that one. I don't know. It was okay. It's entertaining. It's nothing tremendously good or bad. Then we get to, oh my God, something absolutely gross and brutal. Hangman Adam Page against Jon Moxley in a Texas death match. We had barbed wire. We had barbed wire planks wrapped in barbed wire. We had steel chairs wrapped in barbed wire. We had parts of Hangman's hair, skin, and blood left on barbed wire on chairs. We had people pulling out chains. We had Jon Moxley getting a dead eye on top of his head and blood gushing out of it. We had bricks. Jon Moxley made a handwich out of poor Hangman's hand between two bricks and stomped on it. Then I thought he won the match with a curb stomp. Shout out to Seth Rollins, obviously, to onto the brick. They missed a spot. Thank God they missed a spot where they had set the chairs up with the backs against them, and Moxley was going to take a Death Rider on. I'm glad Hangman missed that and hit the chair, the side of the chair, one of the seats of the chair, and not right on the spine, because that would have been devastating to Jon Moxley. But at the end of the day, it was, surprisingly enough, Hangman Adam Page hitting a buckshot, hitting another lariat, and then ironically hanging Moxley to get Moxley to tap out. One of the rare times you're going to see Mox tap out, but if you're being hanged by a chain, that's a good reason to tap out. Doesn't hurt his character at all. Hangman Adam Page getting a win, another tough, brutal, personal fight here at AEW Revolution. This show's been crazy. Then we go from that to another crazy rivalry for the TNT Championship. Samoa Joe, the king of television, defending against former champion Wardlow. Will Hobbs, local guy in the crowd with his big ring. That guy that they have before. I know some of you guys have said that this dude that did the pre-show, who was, I'm a Mean Gene, Lance Russell kind of guy. I think the emasculated male interviewer getting harassed and bullied by the wrestlers and made to look like an asshole is a bit outdated at this point, but that's just me. I'd rather go back to some sports guys doing the interviews, but whatever. So back to this match, though. I just had to bring that up. But back to this match. This match lost a little of the steam from the crowd. Nothing wrong with the match. It was just a basic standard fare, but we had seen at this point like 3 really amazing matches on this night. So this one is a good match. It's just not going to stand out when you think about this card back. Samoa Joe trying to get the win, but once again, we have a chokeout. Again, a chokeout here by Wardlow, who uses the Coquina clutch on Joe himself and actually passes Samoa Joe out to become the new TNT champion. And now it is a collision course coming up on Dynamite between Will Hobbs and Wardlow. And the announcer said this, and I think this may be true. This may be a very short title reign because I absolutely could see them putting a belt on Will Hobbs coming up Wednesday on Dynamite, but we're going to have to check back on Dynamite. Good idea there, the booking there, for us to see the conclusion of that match. What I thought was going to be the weakest match on the card turned out not to be. A very highly entertaining match for the AEW Tag Team Championships as the Ass Boys, the Guns, defend the titles in a fatal four-way against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, the team of Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, and the team of the former tag team champions, The Acclaim. The Acclaim didn't have one of their best raps on the night, but that didn't matter. The match was absolutely insane. Just fun 90s style wrestling booking. Everybody gets their stuff in. Everybody plays their parts right. You even had Satnam Singh, who came out looking like the giant bad guy from James Bond Octopussy movie. That's dated reference. That's dated reference for me because that movie came out when I was like not even in double digits. So that's a whole movie, but that's what he looked like. He even had his spot with Danhausen and then Orange Cassidy hitting the Superman punch. Danhausen going low and Daddy Ass hitting the Famouser, literally a Famouser because his ass just landed on the back of Satnam's head through that whole thing. We had a bunch of other crazy stuff going on in this match. It was with the Guns, though, proving that they were good. The crowd was really into this one. These teams did a great job. And Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett know their roles. They know their roles in the match, and they play them very, very well. As many people, I think people are starting to come around to Jeff Jarrett being an active wrestler in AEW because he's done his spot the right way. But then the biggest shock of this is after the match, the Guns are gloating in the ring after they win, and out of nowhere, here comes FTR. FTR apparently going to be staying with AEW, coming to the ring, attacking the young Guns and putting them down pretty bad. We got a spike pile driver, we got a big rig, and we got the FTR holding the championships. Apparently they've been hanging around Jon Moxley a little bit because he got Dax. I think Dax got a little cut over his eye. He didn't give a crap. They were back. The crowd was jacked to see them, and it was awesome. I do want to bring up one. Speaking of blood and Jon Moxley, how Excalibur, he said the thing during the Moxley Texas death match that Jon Moxley bleeds if the wind blows the wrong way or something like that. I can't believe he said the thing, but Excalibur said the thing. But this was a great card leading up to the main event, a 1 hour Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. It is that time. MJF defending against Bryan Danielson. And what a main event it was. Bryan Danielson, MJF, what can I say? They went through the ringer in this match. It's like most Iron Man matches, the beginning is going to be slow. They get to the halfway point. Danielson winds up getting a fall on MJF with the Bazaico knee halfway through the match almost. MJF is looking pretty bad. His knee's getting banged up a little bit. He's getting banged up a little bit. But then he manages to pull out he manages to cheat, get himself disqualified with the low blow, but then uses that to get 2 pinfalls. So he is tied it up 2-2, a tie for most of the rest of the match. We then get to another tie later on, 3-3, heading into the finale of this match. We saw tombstone pile drivers through down tables. MJF got busted open. Danielson got busted open. Nothing, no gimmicks here. This just collision, just straight up wrestling. So MJF winds up with his giant, Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny sized knot forming on the side of his head. But in the end, it came down to Danielson, who actually had a leg lock on the keyhole on MJF. The time's running down. MJF looks like he's going to tap. He almost gets you. He holds himself, bites his fingers, bites his fist to keep himself from tapping, goes to the time limit draw. And, the crowd started booing, chanting BS. Of course, and AEW was milking this. Tony Schiavone really milking the information he's getting from Tony Khan on the headsets, goes down to the ring, has his moment where he gets to say that we, of course, are going to sudden death. Now, MJF was getting oxygen in the ring. He'd been drinking the whole match, which is not, again, Taz was right about this. If you're doing something for endurance, you're not supposed to swallow the water. You're supposed to wet your mouth and spit it out. And if you swallow it, you're going to get cramps. But anyway, get a little cheating going on here, left and right. Danielson thwarts it. At one point, we think Danielson is completely done, and he manages to get out of it. He manages to hold on. Bryce Rinsberg, the referee, catches MJF using the diamond ring, pulls it off his finger. Danielson's almost getting the pin, almost getting a submission again on MJF. MJF rolls out the ring, but the oxygen tank was still left down at ringside. MJF, like a damn Cheshire cat, smirking, waiting for Danielson to stick his head over, and as soon as he did, bop, back with the oxygen tank. Done at a good angle so the referee wouldn't see it, because Rinsberg made sure he was on the other side of the ring and didn't see what was happening. Couldn't see that it was the oxygen tank that hit Danielson in the head. MJF gets back in and puts the label lock on Danielson. Danielson tries to hold on, but ultimately he has to tap out. So that's 2 tap outs tonight from the Blackpool Combat Club. Moxley tapped out, and it's 2 times guys got beat with their own holds, and Samoa Joe got beat with the clutch earlier by Wardlow, and MJF here getting the big pin, or the big win, the submission victory over Danielson to end a fantastic Iron Man match. I definitely suggest you watching it. So tonight, basically, the majority of the winners were AEW original guys when they faced off against WWE guys, with the one exception being the trios match where Malachi Black, the artist formerly known as Aleister Black, and the rest of the House of Black won the trios championships. But all in all, this was a fantastic show. You can say what you want about AEW's weekly shows, man, but these pay-per-views are killing it, man. This was one of their best. I think this is the best pay-per-view they've had in a while, I would say, because All Out was really good, but All Out kind of gets all overshadowed by Brawl Out. This is the best pay-per-view they've had in a while. Fantastic from start to finish. Almost every single match was fantastic, entertaining, engaging. They had enough variety on the show. There was enough intensity on the show. I think the blood was worked in well in this show, as opposed to just everybody blading. You had bleeding and blood at the right moments for the right matches in this show. Jack Perry getting the big win over Christian Cage. Wardlow winning the TNT Championship again, going on to face Hobbs. The House of Black winning the Trios title. Ruby Soho turning on the AEW Original Women and joining up with her WWE former buddies. And, of course, we got to mention, again, MJF putting on a magnificent performance and getting a win as a heel. Even though he cheated to win, he still showed a lot of heart. I wouldn't say a lot of heart. He showed a lot of determination from spite, and that is MJF's character. A lot of other wrestlers will find heart and fighting spirit to push on through pain. MJF pushes on through pain simply out of spite, which makes his character very interesting. But overall, this was a fantastic show. I definitely suggest you watching it. Highlights of the show: the trios match, definitely. The World Tag Team title match is actually very entertaining. Moxley and Hangman is definitely one to watch, and I would definitely say the main event with MJF and Bryan Danielson in an Iron Man match. This show is fantastic. Definitely highly recommend you watching it if you haven't. But that's just my views on it. I want to know what you guys think about it. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. And be sure to share this video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, wherever you talk about pro wrestling and sports entertainment. I will see you guys again as we continue to cover the world, this crazy, bloody, gory, glorious world of pro wrestling here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.